Hi, everyone. Welcome to this Summer Leadership Forum from the University of Hong Kong. This is the fourth forum. We're doing these from all the faculties at Hong Kong U. And so we're the Faculty of Social Sciences. My name is Will Hayward. I'm the Dean of the faculty. Very lucky to have that position and work with some great colleagues and lots of fantastic students. And really thrilled today to have three products of the faculty. Some are graduates, some not yet graduates, but doing really interesting work and having a lot of really interesting experiences. And I'm really excited to have a conversation with them all today around their experiences, both as students and inside Hong Kong U and then outside in the workforce, and particularly how leadership informs the activities that they're doing now. I think it's going to be a really interesting session. Welcome to everyone that's joining us on the webinar. If you're logged into the webinar, then you'll be able to ask questions at any time through the chat box. And if you do that, then we'll see them and I'll relay those to our guests. And so please do ask any questions that you have. We'd love to share those and discuss those. If you're watching this on the live stream on social media, through the Hong Kong U website, then unfortunately we won't be able to take questions from you, but we do hope that you get something out of this next hour. So let me introduce our special guest that we have. So first of all, we have Stella Chiu. Stella is was a graduate of Politics and Public Administration in the Faculty of Social Sciences and is now a Senior Investment Analyst for Grosvenor, and she's going to tell us a lot about that. We've got Cathy Tam. Cathy is a psychology and counseling graduate from the Bachelor of Social Sciences in the faculty, has spent some time teaching and now is back as a student again. She loved the faculty so much that she came back second time, and she's just finishing the Masters of Social Science in Educational Psychology, and she's about to take a position as an educational psychologist. So she'll be able to tell us both about her experiences working in the classroom, and then these expectations, both her placement experiences and expectations for the new role that she's about to take up. And then thirdly, we've got Jordon Pang. Jordon is a current Bachelor of Social Science student, not yet graduated, but interestingly also now balances that with his role as an elected member of the Central and Western District Council, which he took up in the District Council elections in December last year. So he has got a lot of fascinating experiences, both as a district councillor, while still actually in the process of finishing his BSocSc studies. So yeah, three really fascinating individuals, and I'm going to really enjoy chatting to you all about your experiences. So maybe we start with Stella. So Stella, maybe can you just tell us a little bit, maybe just start with, what do you remember of your experiences at Hong Kong U? What kind of student were you? And, as you were studying, where did you think that your career was going to take you?
Yeah, back to the uni life. It's about 6 years ago. It's quite a while.
Not that long, don't worry.
Yeah. So in social sciences, I think what makes me most memorable thing is the term called global citizenship. It sounds to be something really, really big, and still you cannot simply use one word to describe what is that about. But the thing is, in Hong Kong U, it opens you up to many opportunities that I have the opportunity to go on an exchange in St. Andrews in Scotland to study international relations, which is a great experience. And I spent 1 year there. And then it's quite busy because in my cohort, it's just last 3 years, but not like you guys, you have 4 years for bachelor. And 3 years is really, really, really short. And I spent my second year, that's I go on exchange. And then, so first year and final year. And the final year is just about studying so hard because, I have to do my internship. I'm not sure if social sciences still have this internship arrangement.
Yes, we do.
Yes. And that's one takes you bits of time. And I also need to overload some of my credits because I cannot transfer all the credits from the time when I went on exchange. And have to chase all the study. tried to enjoy my uni life when I was in HKU. I lived in Jordon Ladies Hall, and I played table tennis, and but also very diligent to study really hard. Yeah.
And were you focused especially that last year, were you focused on where you thought your career was going to take you?
Well, at that time, I think I want to pursue a career that can have a sense of the professionalism. So the first come into my mind is urban planning, which requires you to do another master degree for this professional pursuit. But before I really decide to go into this field, I spent 1 year after my graduation. So instead going for I had a lot of the interviews in bankings, in corporates, management training program, blah, blah, got some offers. But I found out, okay, I want to give myself some bit of time to spend 1 year working in the field, which is kind of related, and see how it's gonna be like. And then, but finally, I decided, okay, I want to do urban planning in the sense of academic pursuits. And I believe this can help you a lot in the future career development, but not necessary for this professional career. Yeah. And
so then tell us about that journey to your current role at Grosvenor.
Yeah, I've joined this firm just half a year. And so I have been working for 5 years. And then this is my third job. It sounds like a little bit jumpy, but still I'm in the same industry, and I learned a lot of different skills from each company, and which they are so related to each another. So my first job is about valuation advisory. My second job is in the private equity fund, that you know how it works in the investment world. And for this one, it has the property development perspective. I also strong taste of the investment. My job is something that I really never thought of when I studied back to the days in the HKU, that I'm doing a lot of number crunching and also a lot of analysis work. But these are very integrative area that I find is very fascinating with all the elements and that I'm looking for, and also applies a lot of skill sets which I acquired back to the times when I studied here.
Yeah. So just for background for those of us that are not invested in the world of urban planning and property development and so forth, what does a day-to-day set of tasks look like for you? Like what Monday morning, what do you think you'll be doing? When you go to work?
My job is so I'm in the investment team in Grosvenor. My day-to-day job is to source deal and to underwrite the deals to see, okay, the deals means direct investment in property. And that's why I say there's lots of the number crunching, because you have to figure out, okay, is this worth investment? You have to run a lot of the scenario tests to see whether this return can hit your target. And other than the numbers, there's a lot of things I would say is so related to social sciences or urban planning training, because there's so many things in real estate sector which is highly related to the policy and the economic environments that you're living in. You have a strong texture of the urban life. And my job, talk to the agents, if you have the live deal. So I have to lead the deal, to lead the communications with different parties, including lawyers, auditors, technicians, appraisers. You have to get to know, okay, you cannot do everything, because you need to ask somebody who can do the best job for you. And you can also learn a lot from different parties. I'm still in my very early career, and it's a very fascinating experience to do investment, I would say.
And I guess too, with all those different sorts of teams, you have to be able to talk to all those different types of people, right? Like,
yes,
you need to be have a very general like communication, style.
Yes.
In order to engage people who themselves have very different skills.
Yes, right.
Yeah. Okay, fascinating. Well, we're going to come back and interrogate you more about a lot of those aspects, but maybe we'll move now to Cathy. So yeah, as we discussed, you were a product of the faculty, and then went out and did some teaching, and now you're back training as a educational psychologist. So yeah, can you just tell us about that journey?
Yeah, perhaps I can start with my university life as an undergraduate student. I think I lived my university life to the fullest. I was a very active member in the student hall. I also play in the university volleyball team. And I also went on to exchange. I went to King's College London, but I took some courses not related to psychology. I learned about philosophy, politics, and also language education, and also French, which really broadened my horizons. And then for the SI, social innovation, I took an internship in at a local nonprofit serving young people and training their leadership skills. And also I took a number of internships at the HKU Department of Psychology, the research labs. So I got the chance to work with people from different age range, like kindergarten student or elementary students, and also adolescents. And I try to use some psychological theories to support the learning and things like that. So
were you already interested in educational psychology at that point?
Yeah, I aspired to be an educational psychologist since high school. So I think for my undergraduate study, I got a lot of opportunities, which are very helpful for me to learn about people in different life stage, like very young people, adolescents, early adults. So I know what are their needs and what I can do to help them learn, help them to become a better person. And then later on, after my graduation in 2017, I worked as a secondary school teacher and serving non-Chinese speaking students, underprivileged students. And that was a really fascinating journey because I feel that what I learned in the faculty or I learned as a psychology student, I can apply those theories in my classroom and also in the school. Like in the classroom, and I'm a big fan of positive psychology. I love how to cultivate students' growth mindset. So I was very aware of my language as a teacher in the classroom, how I shape their attitude in learning. Like I try not to praise their focus too much on their achievement, but their attitude, whether they work hard, they pay effort. I think that's very important. Like I still remember in my first month of teaching, I work in a band 3 school. Like students they have low self-esteem. They told me, "Miss, I'm so dumb." Then I feel so disappointed, so sad for them. Why, as a young teenager, they feel that I'm dumb, I'm useless? So I try to explore their strength, explore what they can actually do. So for my work, in the second term, I try to talk to a few colleagues. I think we should not only define our students by their academic achievement, but other things that are as important as their achievement, like their character, their attitude. So we initiate a character education project. So it's a big thing in our school at that time. Like we have some like assessment tools for each student, so they can take a checklist to learn about their character strength. Yeah, and then they feel so proud when somebody tell them that, "Oh, you were good at this. You were a very honest person. You were very perseverant. You were very you have great curiosity. How you can apply this in your learning or in your life." And I feel very happy to see that change. And then, yeah, so my teaching life was a very wonderful journey. And then
just on that. I mean, that's very inspiring because, you know, as you know, I'm also a psychologist. And one of the criticisms we get in the discipline is that there's a lot of things that, you know, we study in the laboratory, we show some effect, but maybe outside the laboratory, it's much harder to demonstrate in real life. But it seems like you were really instantiating a lot of those theories in very practical, you know, real world and actually finding, you know, a lot of value in that.
Yes, I think as a social scientist, it's very important that you observe the problems and then you actively think of the solutions to approach those problems. And when I start the project, I'm not sure if it works, but you only have to try. And you start with small acts, and then you tell people what are the effects. They can see that, the students are feeling great, to know the character strength. So more and more teachers in the school will try this. And then we even talk to the principal, and then later we organize a school-wide teacher training program. So teachers can learn how to incorporate character education elements to their classroom, to their class teacher period. So we hope to make character education or positive psychology everywhere in the school.
Yeah. And then, so now you're a student in educational psychology. How's that experience been?
Wow, that was it has been a very tough 2 years because we have so many courses, and at the same time we have to go on placement at different settings. So I did my placement in secondary school, in primary school, and also special schools, and also some non-profit centers. And it was a very challenging but meaningful process that I feel that you can use your professional knowledge to help people to better the learning, better the development. And especially in the time of class suspension, you know, people have to work from home, and students, they have to stay home for so many months. And especially for the students with special educational needs, they actually struggle a lot without the training or support from the school, from the teacher. So as an educational psychologist trainee, we talk to supervisors how to turn these crises into opportunities. Like usually when we work in a school setting, it's very hard for us to engage parents. Like they're very busy with their work. But now everybody has to stay home for Hong Kong. So we also use Zoom to have the parent training session. So it's a very one-on-one coaching. So the parents sit with their child at home, and then we train the student and also the parent at the same time. So every opportunities are everywhere. And as social scientists, we treasure every opportunity to make changes.
Yeah. And now you're about to take a role as an educational psychologist in a group of schools. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, and in September, I will be serving as an educational psychologist. Very likely, I will be serving 7 to 8 schools at the same time. And my biggest wish or expectation, I hope to promote more about social emotion learning in the curriculum. Because when I reflect on my teaching experience in the secondary school, I find that we always talk about learning, academic achievement, but we seldom pay attention to our children's mental well-being. Very often, they were taught that it's not okay to cry, it's not okay to feel angry, you have to stay calm. But actually, like, positive emotions, negative emotions, they are all natural. They comes with, and it's okay to feel sad, it's okay to feel angry, but you need to know how to handle these emotions, how to accept your negative emotions, how to express them, how to manage them. It's okay to talk about your emotions. So I hope that as a school-based educational psychologist, I can work on these parts, both formally in the curriculum and also in some informal time during school, perhaps some group trainings or training the teacher, training the parents, so they have more attention on these mental well-being of our students.
Yeah, dealing with negative affect and emotions is so important, especially in these challenging times, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay, so look, Cathy, that's great. I think we've really got to know, about your experiences and your roles going forward. Maybe we'll move to Jordon. So Jordon, obviously, you've got a very fascinating, set of responsibilities, both as a student and now as a, elected member of the district council. So, tell us about that. I mean, when you entered Hong Kong U a few years ago, did you ever think that you'd be, a district councillor even before you graduate?
No, I never thought of it. But, I'm always, I would describe myself as a politically aware person, and have been a regular attendee of, different marches, assemblies, demonstrations in Hong Kong. And, since I was small, I read news very often and read the articles, commentaries, different things, and so
someone, sorry to interrupt, someone coming in to the Hong Kong U Bachelor of Social Sciences already with kind of a political interest, political awareness.
Yeah.
How was that mediated by your studies in politics? Did that challenge your assumptions? Did that kind of like grow your enthusiasm? I mean, what was the nature of that like?
Well, I think of politics in different ways, in many ways, not just about the conflicts between the government and people and citizens, and it also about legitimizing state. Why are we living in a just society? And it consists of different elements. Maybe the social contract and different elements. So since studying in Hong Kong U and studying politics, I think of politics in different ways, but rather than just criticizing the government and to complain of things.
Yeah, so then what led you to stand for the district council?
I've never thought of being a politician, but in fact, I wanted to be a civil servant back then. I wanted to work in policy making and change society for every social sciences student. But sadly, it doesn't matter if you have good ideas or what nowadays, but you have to be obedient to the government. So that's another issue. But and also I was the executive of the student union of HKU. I always wanted to encourage the citizens to be political aware and to voice out and join the assemblies and marches. But sadly, not many people came out during my office in 2018. So I would think of is there something that we're missing? So I think this works, and dealing with the bread and butter is one of the important ways to change their minds and build confidence with the residents and politicians. So decided to give it a try, but I didn't expect a win in the election. So
were there people encouraging you at that point? Like, were there people saying to you, this is something you should do? Or was this more a self-motivated initiative?
I think both. Yeah, because I met some friends who are interested in politics and current affairs during my student union office. So they encouraged me, and also they are my partners, and we work together. We joined different assemblies and social movements, and writing statements, different stuff. So at the same time, I want to give it a try, because I think before we asked the people to come out to join the marches. We have to build confidence, build a trust with them, and I think the daily lives matters are really important. Once you do a good job in that aspect, then they will come out.
Yeah. And so when you found out that you were elected, were you surprised, or were you kind of expecting it at that point, or what was the feeling?
Of course, I was surprised, and I didn't expect a win. So it's a sad truth that it's because of the social movement. That's another topic. And but still, the residents in my constituency, they have a big expectation on me. So I have to do a good job, to not just talking about democracy and social justice and not doing any district works, and then it's not an excuse for being a pro-democracy candidate, but you still have to do district works.
If the drains get blocked or the roads start to deteriorate, I'm sure that they let you know very quickly.
Yeah.
And so just tell us, what's a day-to-day look like for a district councillor? What do you do each day?
Well, basically, we, as a district council, we advise the government on matters affecting the well-being of people in the district. So well-being is a very broad term. So it's about hygiene, traffic, and social facilities, social welfare, different things, and also we use the public funds allocated to the district for local public and community activities. We plan those activities and to pursue the environmental improvements, promotion of recreational and cultural activities and community activities. So we have to monitor all the works and to plan activities.
How much of your day is spent just directly talking to somebody else?
Talking with somebody else?
Yeah. Is that quite a lot?
Sometimes, but I usually go around the constituents and also having district council meetings with the government officials and some residents representatives. So maybe, I work for the district council 8 hours or 7 hours a day. But it depends. It really depends. Many ad hoc things pop up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, that's great. I think we've really got to delve into the backgrounds of each of you. That's been fascinating. So, look, I've got a few questions. Maybe I'll just kind of fire them, and then any of you that feel that you want to provide a response can maybe let us know. And again, if there's people on the webinar that want to put questions in, then we can certainly look at those as well. So yeah, maybe in terms of just thinking about leadership, I mean, how much do you think leadership is part of your current job? Is that like a major aspect of what you do, or are you more doing what somebody else tells you to do? Are you being led more than you're leading? Stella, what do you think?
Wow. I always think leadership is quite a big word again. It sounds something very big, like it's a measure of achievement or showing your charisma, or to me, I would say it's more a progression of experience. You're shaping the progression of experience of yourself and the others, no matter which field you are in. I'm in real estate, you guys in psychology, you guys in lots of the locals and public affairs. It's about how you put your passion in your job, and then to engage each another to do the things that you want to do, you want to steer towards to the goal altogether. I mean, this is the conceptual feeling of leadership means to be like. And in terms of my job, I have lots of things, as I mentioned, lots of the communication work, and you have to steer the things that you think, okay, things has to be like this. You have a lot of decision making to do, and to not just sitting here and wait for others to ask you to do this and that. Of course, if you're super junior, you will be asked to do what you should do. But when you move on your career, you will have to take some more initiatives to figure out something on yourself by yourself. I also had that just recently. We have the midterm appraisal. My senior also telling you, we have a lot of problems, and we have a lot of problems to resolve. Everybody will be very keen to ask questions, to deal with the risk. But the point is, it's our job to provide some bit more solutions and try to think out of the box. It's easy to say, okay, think out of the box. What does it mean? And that could be. So I think social sciences to give you some more interesting perspective to look into the issues, try to diverge from the orthodox, and try to make some little bit difference. And it's difficult to put it into words. And I've been asked so many times throughout these years when people ask you, what do you study? Back to your bachelor, and it's such difficult to give one simple answer to say, oh, I did politics, so I can do this and that. Yeah. It's not like accounting. It's not like you're doing medicines, or it's not like the subject that you can already, people can have an answer to associate with what you're doing. I study politics, you study geography, you study psychology, sociology. So what does it mean? You have to make a lot of efforts. I would say for HKU social sciences students, the difficulties in the job market is you have to make extra efforts to reprove yourself that you can do something beyond than what people think of.
As you said, though, you've already had a number of different jobs, right? And so I'm sure each one that you do, you're kind of acquiring new skills, and then that gives you new capabilities for the next one. Mm-hmm. And so, so your studies, looking back now a few years, your studies are really providing the platform, for that development, right? So that actually, so now in your career, it doesn't really matter exactly what you studied. It's more those kind of general skills that you acquire that have allowed you, to now have this kind of stellar career.
Yes. It's a little bit of capacity to learn different things. In a job, maybe in business, there's a lot of things about making sense of things and resolve things. It's not rocket science that you have to be a technician to resolve this fix A, B, C, but you have to prioritize and understand what is the underlying. But for social scientists or social sciences students, you will have the tendency to question what's the underlying assumption. Yeah. And that's a very good training, because you can try to approach a question you can step back to look at what is the crust, what could be the crust, and ask many questions. But be careful. This can make you to be a difficult person, and people can know, why you have so many problems, and bring too many problems. You have to be careful. But this is an art, and in the job, you would just try to learn and do not make too many assumptions or presumptions on how things work. Like Jordon, you're really, I would say, on the ground view, you deal with politics, you deal with the local affairs. You cannot just sitting in the classroom to theoretically it should be like this and should be like that. But when you deal with the issue, it's another matters. So I think it applies in business work and also in social or psychological different fields.
You mentioned rocket science. I'm sure Jordon's job is harder than rocket science, right?
Harder.
And Cathy, I'm sure like every teacher is a leader, right? So how do you kind of exhibit leadership in the classroom?
Yeah, definitely. Every teacher is a leader in the classroom. Like perhaps I take character education as an example. So I have to walk the talk. Like I embrace kindness, so I have to practice kindness in my teaching. I have to be a very forgiving teacher, even if the students, they made mistakes or they didn't hand in their homework. I have to be forgiving and kind to them. And I also, so every actions or every word I did or I said have to be very mindful that I demonstrate to my students, and I be a group role model to them. And for my role as an educational psychologist trainee or EP in the future, I think a great leader empowers people around them. So that's definitely the role of an educational psychologist in school. Like, we don't visit the school very often. Like, going to the school once per week is already very luxurious, to be honest, in our current status. So it's very important that you empower the teachers, empower the parents to transfer your knowledge, transfer the good practices to them. So they are the one who live with the student every day at school, at home. So you need to like empower them, transfer their knowledge. And secondly, it's also very important that you work as a team and you know how to collaborate with people with different expertise and professional knowledge. I embrace teamwork, and also people with different strengths, they come together and contribute to the group as a whole. So I think it's very important that you acknowledge while you contribute your professional knowledge in psychology, you also be humble and learn from others. Like in the school, teachers, they are the expert in teaching and they are the expert in their subject area. So I also have to be very humble and learn from them. And parents, they are the expert of their own child. So I also have to be very humble to learn about their perspective, to understand why they behave like this, to understand their difficulties behind, to be a very empathetic person.
Yeah. So being an effective leader, it's not just about standing out the front and telling everyone, here's what you should do, but you kind of have to earn that, right? And you have to be confident enough that you can say, actually, here's something that I don't know. So you tell me, and then by collaborating, we can come up with a plan that's actually going to move us all forward, right?
Yes.
I think that's really important. So Jordon, just moving from that idea about character, kind of education and leadership, what do you think about what are the differences between like good leadership and bad leadership? I mean, part of that's around the process, like, some people are very organized and good communicators, and so are just effective. But there's also a sense that, leadership can be used for good or for ill, right? You can lead people in good ways or, not so good ways. So how do you see that when you're exhibiting leadership, within your DC role?
So as a DC, I'm representing my community, but my goal now is not just to represent my community, but, to bring our residents together to discuss pressing issues. So empowering the people and residents is really important, not just as a leader, I'm not the one who, decides all the things, but, empowering all the people to let their voice go into the council meeting. So, we have to first think of, what consists of leadership. Many elements. Leadership is not just a single element. So there are a lot of things that consist of leadership, like motivation, communication, decisive, and also empowering people. So, as a good leader, I'm not the one who decides all things, as I said, but, you have to encourage the voters and also residents to discuss local issues. So I'm planning to hold regular public forums and consultations with the residents rather than just, do my own jobs and, report my jobs to the residents regularly. That's not a DC what DC should do. So as a leader, I have to prioritize the issues and to choose the issues that are pressing and form a platform and to be a moderator in the district to let them discuss the issues. And also, so yeah, it's all about communication. I think communication is important. Communication, it doesn't mean we don't have one who leads the meeting, but we, as a moderator and also facilitating the discussion.
Is there a tension between being a leader and being a good team member? You mentioned being on the council, right? I mean, so on the one hand, there are people looking to you for leadership, but at the same time, you have to work with a big group, right, for the interests of the council as a whole. How do those two things feed into each other?
So I think both sides have to bring up their concerns and points first and discuss and prioritizing. It's all about priority. Prioritize all the issues. So I think so before we come to a conclusion or final decision, we have debates, we have discussions. So it's I'm not I always try not to have a preference or a final answer in my heart first. I listen to many point of views and even challenge my point of view sometimes. So it's really important to have discussion, communication, to facilitate this discussion. And people would change their mind after this discussion, believe me. So it's all about communication. It's the key of success.
Hey, Jordon, we've got a question from Nimisha. It's a little bit specific rather than being about leadership in general, but maybe we'll just give you a chance to answer. So the question is, street cleaners and sanitation workers are suffering from underpayment and overwork without any health insurance, as far as I know. Please let me know your thoughts on this. Is there anything that the district council is doing to support street cleaners and sanitation workers?
You mean underpaid?
Underpaid and overworked.
I would say it's true. Yeah, because we don't have people to monitor our works, but the residents. We don't have a boss or a manager to monitor our works, but you can be very lazy, and even still you can still be a district councillor since your office is 4 years, and nobody can kick you out from the council. But you can be a lazy person by being paid for that salary, but at the same time, if you are really hardworking DC, I think it's a bit underpaid, and also the allowances.
I guess this particular question is around cleaners and sanitation workers.
Oh, cleaners. Okay,
yeah.
Sorry. Obviously the cleaners and the people who work in that industry they are underpaid because of the contract out system. So people tend to the government would try to adopt and to sign contract with the company who can minimize their government's costs. So in during that process, the salary of the workers, they don't have any bargaining power, and also they don't know much about the labor rights and to participate in the labor unions. So that's a common problem in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So we, to be very honest, as a DC, we can't do much, because we can say we have to provide more. During the pandemic, we have to provide more face masks and hand gels to the workers, the cleaners. But for the whole system, the contract out system, or the welfare system, we have to go back to legislative council level, or even some due to the current restrictions in Hong Kong.
Yeah, and I guess that it also speaks to the way in which leadership is also often about recognizing your limitations, right? There's things that you would like to achieve that actually, you're unable to, or whatever. So that's also, challenging, I'm sure. Let's just move on. Stella, I've got a question for you. Do you think leadership is selfish? Some people who lead, they want to be a leader because they think that they're so great, right? Kind of maybe a narcissist. But at the same time, leadership is really important, right? And can actually be of service to those that you're leading. So how do you balance that? If you've got like a really great idea, do you ever worry that, maybe I'm promoting this idea just because I want myself to look good rather than actually, improving the functioning of the team? Do you ever have that kind of experience?
Oh, yeah. I think business, you can have lots of observations of, in the corporate world, it happens that people, I cannot say it's a selfish thing, but because for the system, it may encourage people to do these kind of things. But at the same time, it's about how if the person wants to be very high profile to demonstrate they are super capable of doing this and that, and he can manage A, B, C, D, E, F, G by themselves, fine. But it cannot be, I would say it looks worse than being able to be engaged and engage how people feel. And you can see that for people in the senior positions, it's not about how capable they are in terms of very technical things, but they have a lot of experience. They don't need to prove that they have this kind of experience. But the things that I think is more worth learning is to see how they deal with different people and how they absorb different opinions and put them into some strategies to think of the solution. That helps to steer things to work instead of being individualism and say, okay, I'm so great and this. But of course, if you are young, you're so young, just coming out to the real world, and when you do something you perceive as good job, you will feel good about yourself. But some people, they may over exaggerate too much. That makes you to stop learning further and how to improve yourself. I think in the business world, there is nothing really calling right, super right, or super wrong. There's no such kind of things. There's no clear definition between or must do or must not do. It depends on how you articulate your ideas in a way that people can understand in your word, that to get people to know, okay, what your strategy is, what is your selling point, instead of being in the vision state is so good, but hey, you cannot get people to know you, right, and cannot get people support.
And some people, right? Some people have really, really good ideas that kind of speak for themselves. And other people, maybe their ideas are not so good, but they're very good at kind of articulating. So they kind of make their ideas seem better maybe than they are. Do you see that in your maybe senior colleagues around you?
No, I mean, it's just a phenomenon. For social scientists, you will always have this kind of observations for people surrounding you. And you will ask yourself, do you want to be like this? Or what kind of person do you want to be? I think it's about a phenomenon, not particular to it's just happened. And in corporate world, maybe it depends on different business setting or departments or the structures. If it's a mechanism to incentivize what people are doing. So just like if you want to do something better, you have to be in a system to try to make the mechanism to incentivize people to put ideas all together. So I worked in the fund house before, in the private equity fund. It's this, people are very deterministic and the senior people would have very clear agenda. A, B, C has to be worked out. and everybody's go together to support. Okay, we all do this together. Things are so clear, black and white. But in the corporate world, there could be a lot of business functions, and each functions has their goal, and they have many things to do. For investment team, you would expect people from different departments are going to support you. But this is the corporate world. It doesn't work in this way. This is another setting that you have to be more accustomed to. And it's also the beauty of this is they have lots of resources and people from research, from legal, different backgrounds can put together great thoughts and try to make things better, and also protect the corporate interest as well. It's just different things.
Yeah. Hey, we've got a few questions coming in now. So Cathy, we've got one for you. Again from Namisha. Currently in public schools, the situation is difficult for students who want to ask more questions and express their emotions and experiences, are not much liked by peers as well as teachers. In such circumstances, how can you help your child to be motivated?
That's a very good question, because it's obviously how our children think about emotions, how they perceive and handle or think about their negative emotions. These are shaped by the environment. Like since young, when we are at home, when we cry, we are asked to stop. At school, if we feel angry, we are asked to, you can't be angry, you have to calm down. So this is all shaped by the environment. So I think to address this problem, it's very important that we start with the school system. We start with the teacher, who are the leader in the classroom. Like in terms of the system, we think about the timetable in our schools in Hong Kong. Like we have 8 to 9 lessons, all about academic subjects. And for our class teacher period, which was originally supposed to be a time for teachers to communicate with their students, these periods are used to collect homeworks, for them to catch up with their homework or make some announcement about some administrative issues. How can we better utilize our time in school to create an environment which is encouraging our children to talk about their emotions? Like practically, I visit some of the public schools in the United States before. So in their timetable, they have a circle time every day. So to start the day, the teacher and the students, they will sit together in a circle, and they have some visual cues for them to talk about their emotions. Like a check-in, like you check your temperature every day. So the same, you check your emotions every day. Like today I'm happy, I'm feeling okay, I'm feeling not okay. And they are encouraged to share what happened, their home experience, their experience with their friends or with their family members, or any obstacles they encounter in their life. So they're encouraged to share and gain mutual support from their peers. And also the teachers, they can be a good role model in sharing their emotions as well. When I work as a teacher in the school, I was very outspoken about my feelings. Like when I still remember one day when I find that for a student who cheat in the exam. So you have many options how to respond. You can give him a demerit or detention or other sort of punishment. But to deal with this issue, I try to talk to him about my emotions as well. Like as your teacher, I have great expectation on you, but you cheat in the exam, which really made me disappointed. And I have expectation for you. Can you do better next time? Like this kind of emotional talk is also, we as a teacher, we be the role model to demonstrate we can be free to talk about our emotions anytime.
Yeah, great advice. Okay, Jordon, got another question for you. How do you feel and think about leadership in the sense of representing all your residents who have different political beliefs especially when today, things are very polarized. So I'm sure in your constituents, you have people on all sides of the political spectrum, and you may actually agree with some and disagree with some in some aspects of politics. Still, you have to represent them all, right? So how do you do that?
Yeah, it's always true that we have different people who have different political views, and also for myself, I do have my own political view, and I position myself in particular the political spectrum. So, but the problem is that we have conflicts between two parties, and not about having different views. It's all about the conflict, right? So, well, it's a very good question that I'm not. I would admit that I'm representing all the people in my district. So that's why I try to make a balance and also facilitate the discussion. But we have to first think of why people have different political views, or even why people have conflicts after having that mindset. It's all about because first step, we don't listen. So we try not to listen to others' views. Sometimes the reasons are, patronizing. I think I'm always true, and my views, even for myself, as a pro-democrat, I don't always think that the points of views or the acts done by our side are always right. That's not true. We are not Jesus. We are not gods. We can't do everything 100% right. So don't patronize, first step. And also, second thing, even if you listen to others' opinions, but have you tried to understand their views? Understanding is very important. You have to digest their ideas. You have to stand in their shoes, and also try to rethink and debate with your own views in your mind. So it's really important to listen and understand. And even if you don't understand, you can't react in the wrong way. You can't just blame them. You can't just beat them up. So it's not a good thing to do so. But at the same time, we have to understand why maybe youngsters or even some of the, say, Blue Ribbon, the pro-government supporters, why do they have their views? And also we have to see the context of Hong Kong society, rather than just talking about violence is always not right or should be condemned. But you have to think of the context, because you can't discuss a thing without discussing its context. So it's really important. So, and also talking about listening and understanding is, we have two professional psychologists here. So we have to assume that the person you are listening to might know something you don't. It's a quote from my favorite psychologist, Jordon. He has a book called 12 Rules of Life. It's a good book, and we have to have rational compassion rather than empathy. We have to not saying he's a poor guy and they deserve our empathy and pity. So that's why I support their ideas in any ways. But it's not about that. It's about rational compassion. We have to think of the context. We have to try to challenge and try to embrace the ambiguity also. Yeah, there are a lot of ambiguity things in our society. So we have to bring it different ways and try to listen and understand other points of view. Even though you eventually you don't change your political stance or views, it's really important. Communication, just try to understand others, is the key to to live in a harmony in society.
Yeah. Hey, look, we're almost out of time. It's been a fascinating discussion. Maybe just to finish off, let's ask a question. It's probably an impossible question, especially at present in Hong Kong. But where do you think you're going to be in 10 years' time? Like, where do you think that this career path is going to take you? Should we go back the other way? So we'll start with Jordon. What do you think?
As I said, I never expected I would be a politician, and that's not my since my childhood dream or But I have no idea, but maybe doing something related to policy making and, and also some social affairs, working inside the civil society, and just at this moment I just try to finish my studies first.
Yeah, very good.
And
Good
do do my district council works in this coming 3 years. So, yeah.
Nice. Cathy?
For me, my imagination for 10 years later will be our school will be a better place for children to learn about emotions, talk about emotions. And I hope to be one of the person who contribute to this change, to this future.
Right, great. And Stella, 10 years time?
Wow, it's about planning. It's there not to plan. I think it's just, I would not really plan for best planning of the career in terms of there's so many uncertainties, but I think the most important of the things is I find that's the arena that I want to be more dedicated in real estate, in urban life, and I think I can try to see more in these spheres in my professional view. Real estate or urban planning is so related to each of us. Each of our lives is related so much with it on policy making as well. Cannot say what exactly, but I think each steps counts will lead you to somewhere that you want to be. All those are so connected.
Yeah. Okay, well, great. Well, let's leave it there. Look, really want to say thanks to you, Stella, Cathy, and Jordon. I think it's been a really fascinating session. Thanks to everyone that joined us on the webinar, that asked questions, and those following along on social media and through the website. Really pleased to be part of this series, and be really interested to see how the other faculties and their own graduates, how they conceive of leadership and all these kinds of questions. So we'll leave it there. Thanks very much for joining along, and thanks to our 3 guests.